YouTube, what the crap's going on? Heir of Bretonnia here. I mean, HeirofCarthage, my bad. No, there's just been a lot of Bretonnia this week, and there'll probably continue to be a lot of Bretonnia. Check out these Royal Pegasus Knights, such cool units. Really starting to like these guys, too, as I learn how to use them. Alright, I'm using a bit of a different army this time. I've got Battle Pilgrims mixed with Men-at-Arms with Pole Arms, and Peasant Mobs for meat shielding. And then my Leadership Corps is back here. So I've got 2 Questing Knights that are basically supporting the Fay Enchantress and a Paladin. So I really like Fay Enchantress as a leader for the Bretonnian armies. I think that she's a pretty solid choice. She's a little squishy sometimes, in the sense that she can get beat up. But, you know, at the same time, I find like her flexibility to heal knights and do that kind of stuff to be pretty critical. So I did a quick hit and run on some of these archers. My opponent is employing a lot of goblin archers. He's even got some knight goblins, a couple units of those. He's got a rock lobber. Kind of a weird orc army. His main line is a lot of just standard goblins, and they're backed up by a couple of units of boys. He's got Grimgor and trolls, an orc boar boy biggin, and a giant. So he's, I don't know that the giant is probably a questionable pick. If Bretonnia brings archers, they can tear it apart pretty quick. I don't think there's anything wrong with picking Grimgor per se, but it's kind of odd to me that there were no biggins. Or yeah, there are biggins, my bad. So there's an orc biggin, and yeah, boys over there. So that's what it was. But yeah, there's a lot of archers. A lot of archers, and it can be hard to protect your archers against a cavalry-heavy Bretonnia. And, you know, goblin archers aren't super impressive anyway, as my Pegasus Knights want to demonstrate here. Now, this was a pretty risky charge. I was like, I think I can do this because my opponent had been slow to react a couple times. So I charge in, but the problem with Pegasus Knights is they don't have a lot of mass. And when they get caught by a cavalry unit like this, even though only a few of them are caught, it's going to continually pull the whole unit. See how it magnetizes back to the ground? So I'm now having to micromanage a lot to keep some of these units up in the air, and I'm probably going to lose a few of my my unit models here, unfortunately, because they're caught on the ground and can't get away. So see, they get cut down trying to escape. And then I'm taking bow fire up here from the remainder as well. So yeah, this charge was a little bit hasty. One of them gets away right there. That's pretty nice, but then that one dies. So I take some damage to the Royal Pegasus Knights, way more than I should have right here. I think his rock lobber is targeting some battle pilgrims over here for the most part. But I get through the forest. This is going to leave my forces at will to attack through the forest, which will basically give me cover from his rock lobber and his archers. You can see here comes my battle pilgrims, peasants. Everything's going to charge in from the front here. Pole arms, you name it, it's coming in. And I got a Grail relic too, just to kind of try and hold my men together for longer. Yeah, lots of people coming in to attack, and then through the woods over here, he sends a boys to chase this pole arm. I didn't want to fight that, so instead I give him a taste of my questing knights. So they come in and charge. They'll make short work of that unit. His giant and goblin big boss is kind of sitting back at the moment. And then Grimgor is also kind of sitting back with a unit of biggins, maybe hoping to protect himself from the Pegasus Knights. I'm not really sure. The Pegasus Knights now have a target, which is going to be his archers out here. So I'm going to go destroy his archers before they can do damage. And then I'm going to use my Questing Knights and the Fay Enchantress, along with the Paladin, to come over here and start putting a beating on his giant. I'm going to go ahead and start putting some healing together here for my Knights. And then, again, you see out here my Pegasus Knights are crushing the artillery and the archers. So there's not a whole lot he can do about it. He's going to bring the orc biggins over here, but I can easily just run away from him. So it's not going to be an issue. He had some night goblins there. Right there, I used a Comet of Cassandora to pretty good effect on his orc boar biggins, and it turned out pretty nice, actually. So I think the Comet was probably well used in that case. I have 12 kills on the lady. I don't know exactly what all 12 they came from, but very well part of it could have been from the Comet. Now my Pegasus Knights have taken a little bit of a beating. My infantry, though, is doing great. The Battle Pilgrims are cleaning house. They're doing really good against this low-armored orc infantry because of their frenzy ability. So when they get into combat, the frenzy helps them just get more attack, and they start doing quite a bit of damage. Now, they're not unbreakable like flagellants, So you gotta remember that. Now the Pegasus Knights have anti-large and very high charge, and they don't really miss an easy target like a giant. So I charged in here and hit the giant, and you can see that he starts to drop rather rapidly. All that bonus versus large, it's going to start to take its toll. And then the Questing Knights are a pretty survivable unit. Again, I've got another Earthblood up. I've been using a lot of spells to keep my Questing Knights alive. And then my infantry line is relying on the Grail Relic. And it's strong enough that it doesn't really get torn up too easy by cheap infantry. Battle Pilgrims are able to come in. And again, over here you can see I'm just kind of tearing apart the giant. The Trolls are anti-armor, which is kind of nice for my opponent, but they're not doing a ton to my cavalry. And then his Goblin Big Boss got hit in here. Grimgor came over and used Wa ability, but most of his units were kind of on the losing side already. And then you can see that I've been able to mop up quite a bit of his infantry line. I was over here getting more archers as well, just to make sure these guys can't help. He's got this unit of Biggins, but it looks like it's headed towards another fight. So in this case, my Royal Pegasus Knights are just going to stay on the ground here and start breaking up more of the greenskin infantry. So the Pegasus Knights doing quite well for me. Grimgor is really the only threat left. The Trolls are starting to rout, and Grimgor is going to... He's just standing over here. I think my opponent mismicroed him. So here, momentarily, Grimgor is going to take a charge from my Royal Pegasus Knights. Now, I don't think Grimgor is considered large, but still, the charge of the Pegasus Knights is pretty high, and they can lay down some damage on the charge if they land it. Now, once I get the Paladin over here, combine it with the Questing Knights, I'm able to get some pretty good work done here. The Fay Enchantress has magic attacks too, which doesn't hurt. So we're getting a lot of damage done. The greenskin units out here, this Orc Biggins, starts to fall apart. The leadership standpoint, Grimgor falls apart, so able to win this time. I don't think that my opponent brought a great greenskin army. I think that he had too many low-tier infantry because he spent so much money on archers. More Biggins would have been more effective for him because Biggins would have done very well versus Battle Pilgrims and the Men-at-Arms polearms, and that would have made my job a lot harder. And honestly, his archers didn't really contribute a whole lot here anyway. Now, would it have won him the battle? I don't know. I still had the Pegasus Knights. They were still very useful. And had he brought something like Black Orcs, that was the whole reason I brought the Questing Knights. I knew the Questing Knights weren't anti-large, but the Pegasus Knights were. So the idea was, alright, if my opponent goes armored infantry, I'm going to take the Enchantress, the Paladin, and the Questing Knights right into his Black Orcs and mow them over. If my opponent goes with... and had he gone with the armored infantry, that would have been the ticket, while I used my infantry, like the pole arms, to try and hold off the flanks. Had he gone like big gun infantry, I would have just tried to fix his lines long enough for my Pegasus Knights to slaughter the big guns from behind in rear charges. And again, in this case, I really think that all the archers just kind of favored my scheme here because I had all this mobility, and the archers just became easy pickings. Look, hardly any kills. So you add up all the archers, and it's not even 40 kills. So that's like 2,000 gold spent on that just didn't return anything. The giant did pretty good. He killed some of my infantry, a few of my cavalry, so nothing wrong with that. The rock lobber got some kills, but they weren't really even worth it because it was fairly cheap infantry that they were firing at. The boar biggins, again, not sure exactly what they killed. They didn't pick up a chevron, so I have no idea what it was. Grimgor got a few kills throughout the battle too. I didn't catch him in combat, but clearly he got some stuff done. But anyway, hope y'all enjoyed this one. It was a lot of fun. I'm going to keep tinkering around with Bretonnia, try and get used to him. And look, Bretonnia won this time, so you don't have to complain that I never show Bretonnia winning anymore. Hope y'all appreciated the video. For those who are subscribing or want to subscribe, please do. Helps me out a lot, and I appreciate those who have done it already. I hope you enjoy the videos. That's the biggest key. I appreciate your comments, feedback, everything you're giving me. HeirofCarthage signing out for now. I'll see you next time.